Welcome to Everything But the Tip, the podcast that bucks the trend of the mainstream golf content being churned out by the masses. Presented by the co-founders of Smart Golf and Fitness, we're on a mission to guide golfers towards genuine improvement. No swing tips, no shortcuts, we're anti-instant gratification. Join us as we navigate the complexities of the game, offering insights on how to truly excel in golf by embracing the challenges and breaking free from the usual quick fix mentality.
All right, we're back. It's happened. We played. We performed. Good, bad, or otherwise. This is the follow-up to our Eagle Days episode, aka a member guest, in which we've discussed for about 30 minutes. We kind of gave you just kind of an overview of what we were about to participate in, and the results are in. And today we look forward to discussing our performance, our experience, each day, each match potentially individually, some highs, some lows, and hopefully, paint a solid picture of what we would consider a fantastic 3-4 days in creating some lifelong memories. Tommy, I'm going to let you kind of take us off and start from the beginning. And I guess I can just ask you this. You can put this into your answer, describing your overall thoughts of the experience and how we performed.
Yeah, we mentioned on the previous episode that Eagle Days is kind of the member guest of all member guests. So again, sitting here on Tuesday, having reflected over the course of the weekend and whatnot, it's still hard to believe that we played 3 days of competition, 7 9-hole matches, had some unbelievable conversations, things like that. But overall, I thought it was another positive experience. White Eagle Golf Club does a remarkable job. We were just talking a little bit ago how regardless of the name of the club, the location of the club, how elite of a club, we'd be hard pressed to find a better member guest experience out there. But it was as a grind, just like we anticipated. Any member guest, the ultimate goal I think we kind of closed out on the end of the last episode is it's all about the people. It's all about spending time with your guest. It's all about spending time and getting to know those people in your flight. They come from all over the country. They're involved in all sorts of different industries and walks of life and things like that. And then just sharing that camaraderie both on and off the golf course with the events that the member guest normally has to offer. So I would say that in that regard, this year, definitely was positive across the board, and a lot of great conversations, tons of laughs. My ribs hurt. Haven't done many abs lately, but definitely did plenty of laughing abs over the course of the weekend, and I couldn't ask for anything better. So weather cooperated with the exception of the final day, but we'll get into some more details as we kind of roll through.
Well said. I echoed that wholeheartedly. I haven't played in a ton of member guests per se. I've definitely got a few 2-dayers under my belt, but as we were just discussing, I'm like, I don't really know how you would do better than this. One thing that I think we always have to highlight, the staff, the professional staff there, Tyler, Joe, you should probably
Nick, Kirsten,
keep going,
and just Bagroom Al and the entire staff there, grounds crew. The course was in impeccable shape, so Canning had that thing spicy and in just phenomenal shape to be able to host this tournament or any other tournament that might be rolling through town. So the wait staff, everybody had a smile on their face.
I have to put you on the spot. What's the chef's name?
Chef Sean.
There it is.
So,
you got to give him a shout out.
Yeah, but Los and his crew and everybody, we just, if we had to list everybody out, we'd be here late. But everybody did a phenomenal job. The thing that a lot of people don't realize is that crew is there first in the morning and they're last to leave. So when you roll in for your smoothie, when you roll in for your to the omelet station to get your made to order omelet and stuff like that, those people went home well after you. Most of the time. There were some late stayers, but they definitely were there well before you showed up to make sure that you had whatever you needed to get the day started and get through the day.
Yeah, I've been on the other side of it, working at country clubs myself before, occupying the position that I'm currently in. But we'd be remiss without mentioning those guys. It's an unbelievable atmosphere and experience, and it wouldn't be without them. And again, I highlighted earlier, and that's why I wanted to see if you knew the chef's name. I'm always left with a very long-lasting, positive memory of the food. And I'm not a foodie by any means. I'm just very appreciative of something that's undeniably good when you experience it. And we won't go too far ahead into one of the nights of one of my favorite nights when it came to what we had the opportunity to eat. We'll get into that gala, but I just wanted to mention and thank the staff. I thought the experience was amazing. One thing going into this, to follow up what you had said just regarding the camaraderie, the networking, and the people you meet, you think of a member guest. I mean, it's a highly competitive event. I think back to even like my high school, college days when you kind of play, you talk a little bit, but it's relatively silent in nature. You're competing. You're trying to beat the other person. And there's no lack thereof that, right? We're definitely trying to win every single match. Everyone's highly competitive. But I really do notice and appreciate the camaraderie, the genuine interest from the competitors to us, and vice versa. And I will say, I'm starting to get biased towards our flight, and I'm actually already looking forward to next year, because you really start to get to know these guys every single year. And I thoroughly enjoy the hour and a half, one on the golf course we get to spend with them, but addition to that, having the opportunity to eat some lunch, eat some dinner, and otherwise. So yeah, I thought it was an amazing experience. And where do you want to go from here is up to you. If we want to get straight into our performance.
Yeah, I think the weather was cooperative. Wednesday practice round, you sat out so you could spend some time with the family, because, again, that's the other thing. You're spending a ton of time, several nights, long days away from your family. So some of those that we need to thank are our wives for taking care of our kids and allowing us to be away from home and stepping away from our fatherly duties and had the opportunity to play in this. But, yeah, let's get right into Wednesday night, you rolled on in. The party was still going. Everybody was hanging out on the patio. It was a beautiful night. We held the buffet open so that you could get a little sustenance into your stomach and make sure that you got to experience that night's meal. I didn't think the to-go box was the way to go. I wanted to just sit down and have a plated meal at a table.
I was very, very thankful for that. Remind me, what were those? What was the meat that I got? I was able to experience.
Lamb chops.
Oh, the lamb chops. I had
phenomenal.
5 of them, and they were phenomenal.
Yeah. So Wednesday night, just hung out for a little bit, but we did the responsible thing. Got back to my house. We sat in the kitchen and had a final, and just talked a little bit about what our expectations were for the weekend and what we kind of envisioned. We talked a little bit about performance anxiety on an episode, and just kind of envisioned what we thought we needed to do and how we were going to go about it. But went to bed feeling good.
What was our
Wednesday
buzzword?
night.
What was our team word? What was our buzzword the whole week? You remember?
Positivity and start out fast.
How many times did you say it?
Sisu.
There was that too. The one I was going towards was referring to our last podcast in regard to performance anxiety, right? What, do you remember how we closed that out, what we discussed?
No.
You can't be anxious and grateful.
Oh, grateful at the same time. That's
Every
right.
time I said anything that was remotely negative, I'm just grateful to be out here, or I'm just grateful. I'm really grateful right now.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I was digging into it, But I remember now. Yeah, I was very grateful the weekend, and in retrospect, even more grateful than I could even imagine at that point. But
I just want to say, you mentioned we were sitting around the kitchen for the final, and the truth is, we actually ended up in Tommy's sauna, which
not that night.
The very first night?
Yeah. It was late. We needed to get up early. We had a 7 o'clock tea time. We went in on Thursday night.
You can see based on my memory, we weren't responsible every night.
Well, the nights do run together. I had a hard time up until you just bringing up those lamb chops, even remembering what we ate for dinner on Thursday night. But those were phenomenal. Those were top notch.
Yeah,
those were the star of that
made
meal.
a responsible decision the first night. Okay.
Yeah, if we went up to the sauna, we would definitely not start it off as hot as we did on Thursday, because we got out to a hot start, and that was our goal in our first match. We were up 3 to a half.
I'll say personally, and I think you can probably relate to this, just to White Eagle's first hole, that's the red course, right?
Correct.
There's water along the entire left side. And where I would land my driver, the fairway also kind of kicks to the left, and it's very, very narrow.
Yep.
And then if you wanted to take kind of a little bit more safe, laid up approach, they have a really well-placed fairway bunker. So for me, when I picture every hole on that golf course, and especially for this one being a starting hole, it's hard to have positive thoughts. Not that I've had a large history of hitting in the water. It's just that's one hole you want to get that first shot over with, and you want to get it in play. And anyway, I just wanted to paint that picture because when it comes to the performance anxiety and trying to visualize positivity and go into something and perform to the level that you expect to perform at, that first hole has always been it's a pretty big challenge for me to visualize the shot I want to hit and then actually commit and execute. We ended up doing pretty good on that hole. And I know last year I ended up hitting it in the bunker and not hitting a good fairway shot out of it. So I really just wanted to get the ball on the green in two and get a power and get the hell out of there. And that's what we were able to do.
Yeah, the first three starting holes on the red course can be challenging in their own right, just in terms of visualization, having to hit some precise shots and learning how to play those holes. So definitely not a walk in the park. So I'm just trying to get through that. But I mean, Thursday, ultimately for me after the competition, did feel a little bit down, a little disappointed. We had 3 tough matches there. We didn't win a match that day, so if you look at it just from a real simple standpoint,
we tied one.
You could look at that as a pretty rough day. But we had close matches. We had some pretty good holes, but ultimately walked away a little deflated from the competition standpoint on Thursday. But knowing it's a 7-match, 3-day competition, you're not out of it on Thursday. There's a lot that happens between everybody else's matches, the remaining 4 matches. You're not even halfway done with the competition at that point. So just learn from playing in it last year and then playing as a guest several years prior. You got to keep your head up. You got to keep positive and just figure out how to go out there and scrape out a few more points over the course of the next matches.
Yeah, we were down 4 the first day. I mean, admittedly, I wasn't as optimistic as you were. If you recall, I'm like, I kept saying, I'm like, man, I know you can't win it the first day, but the last thing I wanted to do was lose it the first day. And admittedly, I was probably a little bit too pessimistic and a little bit too down. Sometimes I can get, go against what my advice would be to others, being I'm the expert in, in this world. But, Tommy, you're right. It wasn't over, but to echo what you said, I definitely was a little bit deflated with being 4 back the first day, knowing how challenging and tough our flight is because it's, there's a lot of really, really good players in it. And, yeah, so.
Well, thankfully, Thursday night was absolutely spectacular. The weather was phenomenal. The sunsets at White Eagle, if you get the opportunity to sit in our Adirondack chairs on the 18th hole, Island Green, looking at the sunset in the west, there's some of the best out there. So definitely check it out if you can. But yeah, there was a live band. The chef and his staff knocked it out of the park. Lobster tails, prime rib, phenomenal. So the combination of the sunset, groups still coming in at the end because again a lot of groups are playing 27. It's tee timed, so it's not shotgun, which is fantastic. Helps considerably with the pace of play for the most part. We decided to sit and eat our dinner in the Adirondack chairs so we could take in all 3 of those things: the food, the sunset, and the golf coming in. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, we were just talking about this. I struggle hitting my mouth even when I've got a table in front of me. So I knew it was a bad idea from the start as I'm sitting here wearing one of my tea gifts, one of the brand new hoodies from Johnny O. By the way, got some compliments on that. But, within my first 30 seconds an attempt at bites, I had already, didn't know it at the time until I went to go clean it, had about 12 different stains. So I ended up finding a table. It was crowded, so I ended up finding one indoors by myself. Luckily, Chip, shout out, he came and saw me and found me and sat down, and we ended up eating together. But to echo again what you said, yes, I had all of the above. I had the meat, I had the lobster. It was, again, I said in the beginning, the food the entire weekend was an experience all by itself.
So hung out for a little while on Thursday night, joined some good camaraderie there, made the decision to get out of there relatively early compared to what could have been done. And that was so we could go home and Joe could finally experience the sweat shed, the sauna in the backyard. So how was that?
Honestly, I think after experiencing it, it might have been the first time I've ever been in a sauna. So, it wasn't. We have our infrareds here. We obviously went to Scotland. We spent every day in what they call the sauna. And I have one at the club that I'm at. I've been in plenty of saunas. This is the first time I've truly experienced a sauna.
A Finnish sauna.
Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, we were enduring max 4 minutes at a time.
We stayed in for about 7, so I
really?
went easy
Jeez.
I went easy on you, and I set the temperature to about 185 degrees. The hottest I've got it up to is about 230 degrees, thanks to my.
We didn't hit 200 that night?
Thanks to my 9 kilowatt Hum sauna stove, but no, we did not.
Oh
we were
my
at about
gosh.
185 ish. Once you throw the water on there, the temperature actually goes down.
Did that hit the 200?
Maybe from a relative humidity standpoint or a feels like temperature, because the temperature actually goes down on the actual thermostat, but the feeling of how hot it is goes up.
Borderline painful.
So I did the old joke, if you haven't been in a hot Finnish sauna, if it's too warm, you just blow on yourself and it cools you off. But
I'm genuinely
it really
worried that thing at some point is just going to start on fire.
No, it's safe. It's fine. It's an electric sauna. But, we got a couple rounds in there. Broke Joe into a real Finnish sauna. Goal there was just to have a good night's sleep, relax, get some of the toxins out from the day before, and help with that recovery process.
What's nice about that night, and again, obviously we had been drinking most of the day, but it's nice to have a late start on day 2.
Correct. Yeah, the format this year, compared to last, normally it's 27, 18, 18. Because there's so many teams, they kind of switch it up and did majority of the teams 27 Thursday, 18, 18. Some of the flights did 18, 27, 18. But traditionally, you start with an early tee time, have a little later tee time. The rough part is having that early tee time after the Friday gala. But Thursday overall ended up on a relatively high note and hot note with the meal, the camaraderie, and then the sauna to close it off to help that head hit the pillow a lot faster.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we should give our opponents a shout out that day, just to show some appreciation to their camaraderie in the competition. You remember who our first match was? It was Andy Hill.
Andy and Dave.
And his guest, David Vincent. He's from Nebraska.
Yep, they were new to the flight this year, so like Joe said earlier, being in the same flight second year in a row, 5 of the teams were the same. We were the 6th team, so only two switches from last year. So, but yeah, Andy was a new addition to the flight. I think I mentioned in the previous episode, got to play him in Eaglet days, so that was the first time we got to play golf, and expected a battle, and enjoyed getting to play against and get to meet Dave and spend some time with them.
Yeah, it was a good way to kick things off. Obviously, we got up to a hot start. Would have liked to have finished a little bit stronger than we did. So congratulations on beating us, guys. And then we went to the next match with member Ted Shaw and Chris Sakella. They were actually last year's past flight winners. I know Chris, he's a member at Butler. Fantastic guy. Was really looking forward to seeing him this year and spent some good quality time with him. The guy's an absolute stud, phenomenal golfer. He's a plus handicap at Butler. And yeah, those two played extremely well with us. There was a couple layups that I will admit I think they would agree with that we gave them, including the very first hole we played. But yeah, they took it to us. I think what they end up with 5.5, 3.5, or 5.5. Yeah, is that about right? So we got an extra half point relative to what we were able to get on them last year. One of these years we'll get them.
Everybody shot in the 30s in that match. So you guys all shot 37, I think, and I shot 39. So we put our foot forward.
Yeah,
and tried to give it a run.
It is worth highlighting. Tommy does play at a 4. His handicap is a 9. Not to say that he can't play to a 4, because he can clearly. But it's different playing someone like Todd, who's a genuine 4, right? So it's tough. It's not to say that we can't and won't eventually conquer and come on top. But it requires an A+ game from both of us. And then finally we closed out. This is also a new addition to the flight this year, correct?
Yeah, John Quirk, former past president, and then Dave Erickson, head professional out at St. Andrews in the west suburbs. So I recognized Dave when he came in, and then when we saw each other again, I think he came in and saw me at Smart Golf a little bit back in his early playing days. But he's been out at St. Andrews as the head professional 25, 30, maybe upwards of 35 years. He mentioned it to me and was just amazed, and we recognized each other. So it was a fun way to kind of reconnect and then close out the day with those guys.
Yeah, another couple great guys. A lot of respect to Dave. Had an opportunity to talk to him a little bit more at length one of the other days. Again, they all kind of combined together, but he played at the highest level. You know, he's a little bit in his later part of his career.
The back nine?
Sure. And but, you know, PGA professional, fundamentally sound, and, you know, he's obviously a really good player. So, you know, we ended up having the match with them. I felt like there was a couple opportunities that we may, again, missed out on. It's match play. It's member gas. That's always going to be the case. But, yeah, just thought it was worth giving those guys a shout-out.
Yeah, 3 good matches there. Walked away just feeling like, you know, we were in all of them, and despite not walking away with a victory that day, you know, overall feeling all right with, you know, where the games were at least. So,
sure. All right. Well, let's go to day 2.
Yeah, we slept in a little bit, so got to get a little longer warm-up in. And, I mean, got to highlight the breakfast. I'll paint a little picture for you about what the breakfast every morning entails. You've got your traditional breakfast offerings, some sort of eggs, some potatoes, maybe some pancakes, waffles. They've got some to-go options, so if you've got the early, you know, tea time, you can grab that and go and kind of munch on that while you're in the cart. But those of you that get there early enough or are lucky enough to have a little later tea time, they got a custom omelet station, which is phenomenal. So I'm a big omelet fan. They've got a smoothie bar, so you can get protein smoothies, fruit, vegetables, anything you want in there. So they have a little bit for everybody, fruit, yogurt. The traditional bar is set up as well, so depending on how you want to get your day started, they've got something for everybody. So
it's always a sad part, you know, when I know how good the breakfast is. It's a sad part for me because I do have a lot of anxiety, especially after a night of drinking. I'm just being transparent about that. And when it comes to competing, my appetite does not kick in early. And it sucks because breakfast is my favorite meal. And it, again, talking about the food, you're right, the spread is absolutely amazing. So I do actually miss out on breakfast every single year. You saw what I did with the burrito you brought, right?
yeah, it looked very tasty. And I think you had 0 bites out of it.
Yeah, until later in the day when someone was about to eat it, someone said, yeah, that's not a good idea.
I brought him an entire to-go box so he could get his warm-up in, and so we were ready to go. And then he finally got hungry, and I was like, I'm going to eat bite in this. I was like, no, you don't want. I said you can eat the bacon, but
all right.
don't eat that burger.
Match 1, what 9 is this? This was...
We were on the blue 9, so no, we went red, white, blue, and then we're back to red.
Yeah.
Your favorite tee shot to start off the 9.
Yeah, I ended up hitting the spot that I wanted to the next 2 days, which is just left of the bunker in the rough. But anyway, so that first match, if you recall, was it the Seymours?
Sounds about right. Doesn't matter. Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
Oh, I've got
but
a
it does
picture
matter.
here. So we've got Seymours. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Ron and JD, and JD's a member over at Ridge Country Club. I don't think I've ever played Ridge Country Club. Have you?
Nope.
All right. JD, looking for an invite.
Jay Miles.
Jay Miles is over there. That's right. So, yeah, I mean, a little more success. We only played 2 matches that day, got a little bit of a late start, got out to a hot start, and, you know, tried to claw ourselves back into contention.
Yeah, no, that was a really fun match. I think we both played, you know, steady and came out with 5.5 points. And, yeah, I felt really good about it. JD's a stud, really, really good golfer. Even better guy. Same with his dad, Ron. Again, I would say, he's at a little bit later in his career. He's another individual that has to take quite a bit of haircut on his handicap.
Yep.
But those two are always extremely enjoyable to play around with. Admittedly, I was a little quiet this year. I was hurting a little bit this year. Even though, and we skipped this part, speaking of the Seymours, because one thing that White Eagle offers, which is pretty cool, is the IV.
Yeah, IV me. There's a couple of locations, one in Naperville,
Shout out.
down here in River North.
But we were sitting on the couch with JD the day prior, and I felt great, But what happens is we took the IV to make yourself feel better, and then we went at it pretty aggressively after the fact, enough to where I was still able to figure out a hangover for the next day.
Well, the weather, like I said, cooperated, but it definitely got hotter as the week went on. So, I mean, Thursday was, manageable. You decided to go with pants that day, or?
No, I actually, for the first time ever, wore shorts.
Yeah, every
3
single
days
time.
in a row. Yeah.
But the temperatures just kept on progressing up until the recent days where there's been some really violent weather. But
speaking of clothing, we also left out one of the biggest highlights of the first day, which we were hoping to win this year. What was that?
Best dressed, which we did. Kirsten came up and gave us a shout out, and we got several other shout outs. So at the very least, we won best dressed
and
once
it makes
again.
it official.
And I was actually impressed. There was a lot of solid outfits out there. So I think us kind of setting the bar relatively high last year caused some guys to want to step up their game and at least be in contention for best dressed.
Trendsetters.
Yeah. So all right, where are we at?
We're at we won that match 5.5. So our first actual win.
Yeah, we got our W.
All right, we're on the board.
W on the board.
And then we finished the day, I want to say, with,
Stiegel.
Yeah, I think you're right, Stiegel. Okay, I'll let you talk about this match since this was Tommy's best performance of the week. So we'll let you take the lead here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not aware right now, I am of Finnish descent, so you won't see me on the ballot. I think I mentioned that already on this year's election. But rewind back to Wednesday practice round, hole 7, tough hole at White Eagle. Just relatively challenging tee shot, and you've got to hit something really perfect. You still have a long approach in, so push my tee shot a little bit. I've got to kind of cut something around a tree. I give it my best attempt, but knowing that even if I don't do it exactly what I wanted to, I'm going to end up left of the green, worst case scenario, on the next tee box, which is where I ended up. Next tee box, Stiegel was playing practice around ahead of me, and he looked down at my golf ball and asked me, "What the heck does that say?" Does that say ISIS? No, I'm Finnish. It says Sisu. It says Sisu on it. So I write my golf ball on there, big on my golf ball, so I can see it in all of the heavy heather and all the weird places I hit my golf ball. But he asked me what it meant. I told him what it meant. And then, 2 days later, here we are rolling into our match, and he's like, "You ready for some Sisu? Because that's what I'm going to give you all 9." I was like, all right, let's get it on. So he set the tone for that match. And, yeah, it was...
we came out of the gate swinging from the very first hole.
So there's a lot of different terms in golf. There's the taffy pull, there's the pillow fight, and that traditionally, speaks to matches where nobody really is doing anything spectacular to win a hole. It's kind of like, all right, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it. And nobody's really making some spectacular shots, probably not making any birdies. This was actually the complete opposite. You and him birdied the first hole, and then we were like, he gave us a Sisu, we gave him a Sisu right back, and we know it was going to be a battle, and that's what it was. All 9, that was my best 9 of the tournament. That was one of my 3 rounds I shot in the 30s, so I knew I had to get a couple rounds in the 30s, which I did, a couple in the low 40s, and then a couple up, regressing towards the mean of my normal scoring. But yeah, hell of a match, back and forth, just blow for blow. Few different birdies out there, some wild putts made, and yeah, it was fantastic.
No, that's a good team. Eric Stiegel, he played for Illinois, again a little bit late, and a hell of a guy. And Todd really got the opportunity to talk to him at length that night of the gala. And he's honestly got a really solid game and has a lot of potential to even be better, which I know that he's going to come spend some time with us. He's going to be reaching out to the boys at Lombard here. I think 25th is the day he's going to try to come in.
Yeah, that's right. He's a Southwest Airlines pilot, right? I mean, I always like to fly Southwest because you get 2 bags for free. So if you're going on a golf trip, definitely hit up Southwest if they're going to a destination you're going to.
Did he mention retirement? I don't know. That was a different conversation. Gosh, we talked at length about that. But yeah, he's had a hell of a career, and obviously that position comes with some pretty cool perks too for the family, which we discussed some of the cool trips that they've been able to go on.
Yeah, so
but happy to win that match. That was I think that's a tough team. They're capable to beat anyone in that flight, and So it was that one felt good to take 5.5 there.
Yeah, so if you're keeping score at home, we're now back to 500, 2-2-1. So, did what we needed to do. We needed to get, some more points. We needed a couple W's on there just to have a fighting chance. So, felt pretty good, after that day. We
can kind of summarize that. We ended up, we were a half point out of point total winners for that day. Still weren't able to Quacks took that, which we'll get to here shortly. But, yeah, I mean, we ended up after day 2, we had a total of 23 points. And then the leaders were 28 and 27. So we were 5 back. And we got to be pretty honest at that point. We knew what was in front of us. 5 points is a lot to be back after day 2. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. You also look at the fact of, there's other matches going out there. The least amount of points a team can get is 2. So even if we went 7-7, we would need a considerable amount of help to even, kind of sniff that top spot.
So at that point, you kind of, you see the writing on the wall. You accept kind of your fate. If you at that point, that being the flight winner this year isn't in the cards. But nonetheless, and this is what I really appreciate about the member guests on the match play, you're not throwing in the towel. You still care, and you still want to end on a really high note, and you're still trying to get as many points. At least I am. I'm still trying to get as many points as we possibly can to finish as high as we possibly can in the flight.
Yeah, and there's also other prizes. There's day winners, so you just mentioned that very briefly. Most points for the day gets a prize of some sort in each of the flights. So, yeah, I mean, your competitive nature is there. It's just like a team at the end of the season that, they've already got the first-round draft pick locked up or, whatever else it is. Those guys are playing for their professional careers. We're just playing out there because we love the game. We're competitive. We want to finish strong. We want to have, some more positives to build off for years to come. But, yeah, after the competition's over, hung out for a little while. Was able to hit the pool, which was nice, really briefly. Pool was closing early, so all their staff could get up and handle the gala, because the gala was something to experience. Your wife was able to make it, so that was sweet. She was trying to surprise you during the course of the day, but you're not an easy person to surprise because you're on your phone constantly, like literally constantly. So it's like, I mean, I didn't know, but then I kind of knew, and then I tried to keep it as much of a secret as possible until she spilled the beans. But it was nice to have her there. Lauren came and we dressed up. We looked nice. We'll throw some photos up here so you can see a little bit of what was going on there. But this night, just when I thought they couldn't do anything more, this night was phenomenal from an experience and from a sustenance standpoint.
I'm still at this point taken back. First of all, we get there, and I think there was mention immediately there's a sushi room.
Yeah,
right?
Gene from Wild Tuna does a great job in Naperville, so if you're ever in that neck of the woods, go out there and check out Gene. But he sends over just a considerable spread, like just table end to end, from long table to long table, all sorts of pre-made rolls. They've got sashimi, they've got rolls to order. But if you like sushi, or even if you just want to come in and try a little because you haven't had any experience with it, that's a good place to check it out. But yeah, the
spread was
number
huge.
one.
The display was huge. I mean, there was a never-ending amount of sushi. It was awesome. So that was a great way to kick the night off.
Yeah.
Call it an appetizer. And then we went to the next room. And this room...
Raw bar room.
Yes.
And the martini station.
I took a picture of that. And
separate
so
martini
we'll have to throw
station,
that
oysters, shrimp,
crab legs.
Claws, crab legs. If you're a seafood person, got to check that out. We'll throw the picture up there and stuff. But absolutely phenomenal. If you do have a shellfish injury, keep walking to the next room.
And then there's the next room. And then all of a sudden you see 2, 3, 4 massive tomahawks. Go ahead and they'll cut up as much of it as you'd like. And then over to the right, there's a massive burner full of chicken parmesan with loaded. Like, you could easily miss it if you weren't looking for it either. And I didn't even go down the whole table, so there's a ton of items that I left off. But, a huge thing of chicken parmesan. And then There's another massive station of a stir fry with every ingredient and protein that you can think of, which is what Katie ended up taking advantage of. And then you walk over to another station, and they had lobster ravioli, which, by the way, was phenomenal.
I did have a little bit of that. I tried to avoid pasta, but I had to have a little bit of that at the made-to-order pasta station. So all sorts of different types of pastas, any sauces, any toppings, meats, no meats, vegetables. I mean, it's no reason, no wonder you could gain a few pounds at this member guest.
Guilty. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know if there's more you want to say about that night. It's a beautiful night. It's a night everyone looks forward to. They had some live music,
some dancing.
Yep, not enough, but you and Katie did a pretty good job of dancing for everybody.
Yeah, I like to cut a rug.
But yeah, just another awesome, fun, memorable night with great food and people.
Yeah, the tough part about that night is, again, you got an early tea time. So if we take any consolation from not really having a chance to win our flight, we could stay a little bit longer if we wanted to and really enjoy what the gala really had to offer.
No doubt. Night. So here we are, day 3, and I want to highlight this. How late did you end up staying out? We ended up getting split up, but you were out. Just let's put a time frame on it.
Not sure.
It was late, okay? It was late. We had a 7 a.m. tea time. We had to wake up, I don't know, right around 6. And it might have been a 7:30 tea time. I was up a little bit too early, but
7:27 maybe.
Tommy had some fun, okay? He wakes up that next morning, and, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought it was a wise decision to go hair the dog a little bit. Was it? Or no, or were you being patient?
I was not being patient.
Okay. So I'm glad I was correct with that. And I don't even know. Did you hit balls that morning?
Negative.
Okay.
Rolled some putts, hit a couple chips.
Goes, takes care of business, gets to the first hole, and he's continuing the party. He's feeling great. Walks, pulls his driver out of the bag, walks up to the first tee, literally 0 warm-up, and hit arguably one of the best drives that he hit.
Gamer.
All weekend. And then he walks up to his next shot. Hits it exactly the way he was supposed to. And he ends up hitting the green in regulation and 2 putts for par, 5 for 4 to give us a 1-up lead on the match. Which I just, that memory stuck with me because of everything that had led up to that point, and you performed, and it was actually really, really impressive. So
yeah, I figured I took enough swings in the days prior that I didn't need to make any more swings because I had 18 more holes.
Fair enough. I've seen it year after year as we play in the Smart Cup, and it comes down to the last day, which is also it's a long, tiring 3-4 days with a lot of drinking and playing golf and eating. So anyway, we played the Justin and James Kwok. I really like those guys. I enjoyed meeting them the first year. I enjoyed hanging out with them this year. They were the point winners at the time. We knew that they were some stiff competition. We always joked, like, well, if we go 7-7, you never know. But we knew going 7-7 off those guys, it was going to be a tall task, especially, at this point I did come into it as a +2 with my index. And admittedly, that was where I started the year, ended last year, and I really haven't been performing up to that. I'm a little bit of a slump this year. It is what it is. But, having to give guys that are scratch golfers a couple strokes is, it's tough, especially when you're not playing up to that level.
Yeah, solid match. Was looking forward to that one. Just seeing him because James lives over on the West Coast, so I don't see him in town very often. I know Justin travels a lot, so I'm sure they see each other. But they fell right into the Kwok mix, and put together.
It was a good match. Nice match. I actually was happy with how I played. I hit 8 of 9 greens, so that was one of my better matches. Wasn't good enough though. That was a match where you had to make a number of birdies, and I think I was only able to get one, which was on the last hole, which was a half anyway. But so good match, and I think I just give those two a shout out. I really enjoy those guys, and they're really good people.
Nice. And then the final match against good buddy Chris Woodring, Chevrolet, Woody, and then Kevin Highland, our buddy down at PGA headquarters in Frisco.
Speaking of Woodridge Chevrolet, I think we have to give a shout out. There was an individual that did get a hole-in-one and won a $100,000 truck.
Yeah, Chuck Youngstrom. So, Woodrings are very generous to offer up truck prizes every round. It's out there on a specific hole, and Chuck Youngstrom, longtime member at White Eagle and former LD president raked in a pretty impressive truck. So there's a pretty cool photo of him and all his buddies sitting in it and stuff. They couldn't stop getting into it and talking about it. I think that was on Thursday, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that was the night of the live band when we were having the lobsters. So
yeah, pretty cool. So Woody's partner, Kevin Highland, he's actually works for the PGA in Frisco. We met him last year as well. So, obviously not a newcomer to the flight, but hung out with those guys all weekend. It was a fun match. Both teams realized that obviously at that point we're not playing for much. The weekend's over as far as our hopes in winning the flight. But we had a really good match, and ended up coming up with, I think, our most points of the week.
Yeah, we got our third victory to pull to 500. Yeah. So 3-3-1 overall, 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie, 1 halve, and ultimately enough points to finish third out of the 8 teams. So a couple spots higher than we did last year. I think we were tied for 5th place out of the 8, so kind of towards the bottom there. One thing that I noticed is the flight was a little bit more spread out from a points distribution standpoint. Last year, I recall everything being really, really tight, even top to bottom. There was a little bit wider spread there, so felt good to get 1 more point than we did last year. Felt good to
puts
move
us
up
above 500.
Puts us above 500, and ultimately just move up a couple spots. A little bit more experience, and again a mixed bag in terms of overall results. But I think as far as the whole process, and then just trying to play a little bit better overall, I was pretty happy.
I agree. 35 points won it last year. 41 won it this year. That's kind of unheard of in the top flight. Chris Akella, Todd Shaw, damn good team. So I guess not that surprising. But that's a big difference from 35 normally winning it. I will say I went into it. I'm not making any excuses. Maybe I am just a little. I wasn't 100%. I was dealing with a little bit of a pinched nerve, or a knot. We're not even sure what the diagnosis is yet. So I was a little bit hurt, and so I'm just saying this to take ownership, and my responsibility is performance. Did not perform to the level that I would have anticipated and would have liked to, and obviously would have needed to, in order for Tommy and I to position ourselves just to stand a chance to make it to the horse race, which at one point I would really like to experience, just that kind of adrenaline rush.
Yeah, the horse race is another animal in itself. So you take everything that we just described, the food, the competition, the long days, the heat, the weather and stuff like that. And now the top 15 teams, the winners of each flight, all get together on hole number 8. 15 teams there. They're playing alternate shots, so they decide who wants to hit that shot. And 5 teams are going to move on to the second playoff hole of the horse race.
Yeah, keep going.
So out of the 15 teams, 2 hit the green. A couple you could say hit greenish. They were on the fringe, but very low percentage of teams ultimately hitting the green. Could be due to the long days in the competition. Could also be to the weather delay. It was supposed to start at 4:30. Just a ridiculous storm came through. Just very thankful that everybody got off the golf course in time. Torrential downpour, hurricane-like winds coming through. So things didn't start till 6:30, so a little later than anticipated. So a lot of downtime, not an opportunity to get out to the range and hit some balls. They did get a few minutes for the guys to go out there and warm up a little bit, so that was nice. But ultimately, you needed to be one of the top 5 teams there. 4s got eliminated, so you made a bogey on that hole. 3s moved on, and 1 deuce.
I think it's worth highlighting, because obviously there's a ton of teams with crazy different playing abilities, right? So you've got the flight winners of the championship flight, so a bunch of scratch golfers and plus handicaps,
right?
All the way up to the lowest handicap, which is an average of 23, 30, maybe higher?
I think the lowest team in that flight was like a combined handicap of 48. I think, they were a little higher than everybody else. So I think it was in the upper 30s. I think it was 38-ish, 37, 38 for a combined handicap of the 2 golfers.
To make the horse race somewhat equitable, it's a par 3, like you said, but the flight winners in the championship flight are hitting roughly a 200-yard, maybe 215-yard shot.
Yep. Okay. Whoever's hitting for each team, it's all based on their hard index that comes on in. So they could be hitting from the gold tees, they could be hitting from the blue tees, but whoever's hitting that shot
From their hard index.
or the index of their, I'd have to double
That's
check on
got
that.
me curious. Like
Yeah.
if we ended up and you're like, well, shoot, I get to hit from 130, and then we're rethinking potentially what our strategy might be.
Sure, but based on your handicap, that's where you tee off from. So there is a little strategy there. You also have to strategize in terms of if you miss the green, who's got a little bit better short game, who can perform a little bit better under pressure. I know you guys, Joe and I joked about this on the preview episode about, wait a minute, like, you ready to hit that chip? Yeah, I was ready to hit that chip. My short game didn't let me down too much this weekend.
I
It was pretty solid.
don't remember any crazy low lights in the short game area.
Sweet. But yeah, 5 teams move on, play from 18 fairway to 1 green. So, a little bit of the weather damper on it, pun intended. Normally you've got golf carts all around the 8th green. You can bank them off the windshield. Always pays to take a little more club there, just not too much because there is a pond in front. So you always want to make sure that you give yourself the best opportunity, at least get across the pond, and then try to get up and down from where you're at. But cart path only, we had to have, stand around. But I guarantee there was at least 100 or so people there. So a little bit less because it got pushed back and because of the weather, but still great crowd, people cheering, some additional pari-mutuel going on the sidelines there. And then those 5 teams, like I said, you had to make par on that hole to move on. The 4s were eliminated, so a bogey on that par 3 needed to move on. Might not sound like much, but in front of 100 people and playing alternate shot, that's really tough to do. So 5 teams moved to 18 fairway, playing to 1 green. Everybody hops in the golf carts, cart path only. Everybody kind of surrounds there and kind of picks a spot where they want to be. You can see 1 green from a lot of different places. Plus, you also want to figure out your escape route to get all the way up to the hill on 18 green so you can see everything coming in. But 5 teams there. 2 get eliminated, 3 move on and play our 18th hole, our signature 18th hole with a left slanting fairway. Not super long, but like I said before, island green. So need to position yourself well to be able to hit a good shot in there. But this year's champions were definitely not expected. Mr. Scotty Blanchard and Gene Tullis, they'll probably tell you otherwise, but these guys had a lot of fun the weekend. So the fact that they were able to pull this off out of the Hagen flight is just truly impressive. So we'll throw their picture up there. You can lead your own conclusions as to what I mean by
Wasn't this the guy wearing all pink one day, sitting getting an IV with us?
Yeah. That was Team Pink.
Holy smokes! Congratulations,
Team Pinky Blinders, and it looks like Gene there's having to close one eye just to remain vertical with the picture of the
I have
trophy
to ask,
there.
did they take the plunge? It looks like they might have skipped it.
No, they took the plunge. They took their shirts off, so their shorts are definitely there. I've got a little video. Maybe I'll take a still shot so we can throw that up there. But tradition is to kind of hop in to the pond there for the winners. Sad note for them is early on before the competition starts, you have the opportunity to buy in to win this ultimate England trip. And again, they can tell you otherwise, but the fact that they didn't buy in for the England trip makes me believe that they didn't think it was possibly going to win the whole thing. So even though things are over, they won. The 2 other teams that did make the finals, they went back and played 18 once again, and a team that did not win the overall event ended up winning the England trip. So somebody's always going to win the England trip. They're going to find whoever they need to compete for that England trip. And Mike Snyder.
I have to ask, who's happier right now after this? The winners of the event or the winners of the trip?
Hard to say.
Who would you choose to be?
I want to win Eagle Days. So you can buy a trip to England. It might cost you a little bit. So from a pure cost saving standpoint, winning Eagle Days might not feel like they're the winners, but they withstood all of the other competition. They withstood the 7 matches. They put themselves in position to win their match. That's something you can't buy. You can't buy a first place finish in your flight. You can't buy winning a horse race that started with 15 teams and again kind of being middle of the pack of where your handicaps are and beating the best guys in the competition and just performing under pressure to ultimately be the ones that are left standing there with the crystal in their arm. So
No, I love that. And I'd say my knee-jerk reaction would have been for the trip, but the way that you just explained that, you've changed my perspective very quickly. So I guess I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, that's it. We didn't win this year. Pretty happy with our performance. Third place in our flight, moved up a couple of spots, starting to genuflect and put together a plan for next year. Got any goals for me for next year?
I got goals for both of us.
I just want to hear about me.
Oh, got it. Okay. No, I think honestly, up until this point, I think you were already having a phenomenal season. Up until this point, every round that we had played together, I've kind of only saw Tommy at his high end of his ability, so I had yet to see Tommy playing representative to what his potential the other way could be. But no, I would say, what's your real hard handicap right now?
9-0.
Yeah, I think if you can, and what were you last year? Was it similar, or were you about 11?
I was a little higher. I was double digits
So you dropped
last
it
year.
2. I think if you can drop it another 2, the closer you get to the handicap that you have to play, the better we're going to be. And I'm no exception. I came in as a +2. I'm not playing as a +2. It is what it is. Right now, guess what my handicap is? A +0.2, right? So we're already, in a better position where we're at. We'll see where the season, finishes and how I start off next year. But
Goals for yourself?
Coming to it healthy. That would be the goal. Spend some time in the gym, get a little bit stronger, build up my endurance. And my goal would be to finish at least 3 of the 9s in red, because this year I had a few, at even and a few 1 over. It wasn't good enough. I want to get sharper with my iron play. I want to be able to throw more darts and give myself some better birdie looks.
Cool.
Other than that, I think we painted a good picture. And like we've said before, if you ever get the opportunity to play in a member guest, hopefully if you do listen to this, you can understand all of the reasons why that's a really good decision for you if you really love golf.
Yeah, get yourself healthy. We'll listen to this episode. There was a couple things you said early on, so just a few reminders before next year to, just stay positive after day one and stay off your phone a little bit.
Yeah, I was dealing with some stuff. But yes, my next year is to stay more present as well and focused on what's in front of me and on the things that I can't control. So.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get that handicap down a little bit. I got it down last year at the end of the year with our Scotland trip. Unfortunately, playing in Scotland is a little bit different than playing here, so I need to get my game to be able to fit multiple environments a little bit better, namely the stateside golf. So,
cool. Well, I think that's all. That's it. We've covered it all. I got no more to say regarding this. It's in the bag, and I look forward to next year.
Yeah, thanks for listening, and kippis.
Cheers.
A big thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Everything But the Tip podcast. Stay connected with us on all social media platforms by following @SmartGolfFitness. For additional episodes, updates, and exclusive content, check out our website at smartgolffitness.com. Don't forget to show some love, like, share, and subscribe to ensure you never miss out on the latest insights and engaging discussions. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep swinging and stay fit.